Okay.
What have you been
I
saying,
got it
Ollie?
right the first time. Jack Yoss, which, do you ever tell people, are they like, how do you pronounce it? And you're like, just like Yoss Queen.
That's actually showed up recently. One of our ex sushi chefs. He was like prep cook to line cook to sushi chef. Now he's a private chef, doing really great things. Dan Castro, love what he's doing there. But he recently started saying to things that I post, "Yas Queen" with a little queen hat on, food that I post or whatever. So I'm like, all right, here we go.
Okay.
I'm into
I'm in
that.
good
Surprised my
company.
kids don't say it.
And that's what we're here to talk about. As I've been reminded, I tend to get off topic.
The only criteria to being on this program is having children. Now, I don't say that to denigrate your presence here, Jack Yoss. We're very happy to have you. But, to Ollie's point, it opens the aperture of who we can talk to because really, we just want to talk to dads and get your perspective and your wisdom if you have any. And so welcome to World's Greatest Dad. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the world's greatest dad, Jack Yoss. And how's it going? How's your morning? How's being a dad? What's up?
Good. It's good. Yeah, I don't know about world's greatest dad. I was a little nervous joining that. I wouldn't say that I'm a world's greatest dad. I think just like any dads, we're just trying to get through, right, and do the right thing by our kids and do the right thing by our wives and make the impact that we can and teach them and shelter them from what's going on in this world, right? But today's a good day. I got up with the kids and got a little exercise in, and I'm the shuttler to work, or sorry, the shuttler to school guy. So I get up and take off my son, and he still holds my hand and walks up with me to the front door in fifth grade. So I feel pretty good about that. I feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's huge.
And then I come back.
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, I already saw there was like a fourth grader that I saw him dad and like wouldn't let his dad cross the little crosswalk with him and went on his own. I was like, oh my god, is that gonna happen to me? When is that gonna happen to me? But yeah, he still does it and gives me a kiss at the front, with friends around and stuff. And then I do my daughter the same thing. Take her to eighth grade, so I have a 13 and a 10-year-old. Take her to school and drop her off right at front and get hugs and kisses as she leaves. So they still want to
And
hang out
you
with us. They
think
still love us.
you have the gall to tell us you are not the world's greatest dad?
You're doing pretty good.
There's a lot of dads out there, Neil. There's a lot of dads out there, Ollie.
Well, here's the asterisk, and this is kind of a technicality. This is how we get around it, Jack. I'm going to kind of show how the sausages are made a little. It's world's greatest dad, asterisk, in your own home, to your own kids. You win. I mean, unless there's someone else, another father figure who we don't know of, you're kind of going toe to toe with, you can't possibly get any better. You are the world's greatest dad to your kids. Is it Gavin and Avery? Am I getting that right? Did I do my research?
You did. I'm going to turn on this light and see if this is better. Oh, yeah, that's actually...
He's a great stalker in that sense.
So that's the other thing.
Gavin
We have a
Avery.
PI. No, Ollie, we have such a good time here that I often have to coax myself and Ollie to get us back on track. And one order of business is please introduce our guest to our listener. They want to know who we're talking to. Who is the great Jack Yoss?
Exactly. Yoss Queen. That's to start it off. But here's the intro. Jack Yoss is the vice president of culinary for High Hospitality, the restaurant group behind Uchi, Uchiko, Uchiba, and Loro. Jack has cooked his way across the globe, from Bali to Bangkok, and brings a world of flavors and experiences into every kitchen he leads. But his greatest adventure isn't in the restaurants, it's at home. Jack is the proud dad of Avery, 13, who was born in Bangkok, and Gavin, 10, who was born in Bali. Please welcome to the show, the world's greatest dad, Jack Yoss.
Thanks, Ollie. I appreciate that. I'm gonna take that and print that up for my bio right there. That was pretty great.
I can text you
that over
this
to Sam.
document.
Yeah,
I can literally send this to you. Consider it done. That I can do.
It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny story with them. Avery was made in Bali, born in Bangkok. Gavin was made in Bangkok, born in Bali. So they have connections over there to both cities, and they both lived in both cities at one point. My wife's an amazing person to, she was the one that, really pushed me to get out, to go overseas and start working in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
and she supported me all along the way. She's from California, had never been over to Asia, but was like, if you want to do this, let's go do this. And we worked together before that, and we went and did it, and had a couple kids along the way, and lived over there for 10 years. So they didn't move to the States until Avery was 5. They had been a couple times, but Avery was 5. Gavin was 2, 3 right at that point. And I remember coming through customs at one point, and we're coming through, and they're, Daddy, what's that flag right there? What is that flag? What is that flag for?
No way.
What country is that flag? And it was the American flag, which is pretty interesting because we lived in Asia, and we didn't have American flags at our living there, but it was pretty funny when we moved over.
Why did
Customs
you
were looking at us like?
back? What was the impetus to come back?
It was really for this job with high hospitality and growth in my career. So I had actually helped open the second location of Uchi, which was Uchi Co. I traveled the world for a couple of years, my wife, working in Europe and a little bit in Asia, staging, just really bouncing around, having a good time, consulting, staging, working in chateaus, Michelin restaurants. And I got a job offer for Bali, so I came back to the States, and I was waiting for my work visa. And one of the original owners of Uchi, his name was John Bedell. I had worked with him before in Los Angeles, and I knew him from my time in San Francisco. He asked me if I'd like to help him open Uchiko. Like, I had a few months off, needed to make some money before going back to Bali, so I came and helped open Uchiko. I was there for 2.5, 3 months. And then my work permit came through, and I went to Bali, and I opened the W Hotel in Seminyak there. And did that. And then I actually came back after a couple years to work with High Hospitality. They were starting to grow. They had then opened Uchi Houston, and there was going to be growth plans. I probably left Asia a little too soon at that point, so Avery was born. Came back, the corporate chef role. There was only 3 restaurants at that point. Came back a little bit too early and missed it. And the growth was future forward out. Laura was just now starting to be talked about, and I got many offers to go back to Asia. So I was a year, and I left on a great note and said, I'm gonna go back to Asia for a few years. Like, let's keep in contact in the future. Went back again for another 6 years, and then the growth was really going to start happening. Then they called me back at 5 restaurants. So just in that time, it went from 3 to 5 restaurants, and to come back for growth. So since then, we're up to 20 restaurants now. A lot of it during the pandemic, which has been kind of crazy, but that was the thing to come back. So Avery was about to go into kindergarten. Gavin was 3 years old. We had worked overseas, been overseas for about 10 years at that point. And it just felt like the right time to come back, and the right job for it to come back to. I said that this was the only company and job that I would come back to. I don't say this lightly. I truly mean it. I love high hospitality. I love our restaurants. I love our concept. I love our people that I work with. And I was not looking. John called me up, and I was actually in negotiations with a few other jobs. And he called me up and said, "Hey, the growth is real. This is happening. Do you want to come back?" And I came back a couple months later.
Do your kids, how much do they remember about Bali and Bangkok?
Very little. They remember some of the people. They remember, on a day-to-day basis, no. But they remember some of the people. They have certain core memories, which is interesting. One of them for Avery is in Bangkok at a grocery store that had a tin roof. I think it was a Carrefour. That has a tin roof, and it was raining, and they were running across, and they went in there, and it was just pelting rain. So she remembers that. Some of the stores we used to go to, the bead store, some of the beaches, so they remember little bits of it, and we can show them pictures, and they remember it, but not a ton. They are very proud, though. When you ask them, where are you from? Gavin's, I'm from Bali. Avery's like, I'm from Bangkok. They're like the whitest little kids ever. They're like, I'm from here, and they're very proud of it. Gavin was actually the largest. He hates that I tell the story. He literally hates it because he's tall and thin and strong, a little basketball player now. But he was the largest Western baby born in Bali. And that's when they only had one hospital. So all babies were born at this one hospital. And all expat babies were born at this one hospital. And he was the largest Western baby. He was beat out by a Chinese baby by 1 ounce. So I'm pretty sure he was 10 pounds, 8 ounces. Natural.
Wait. 10 pounds? 10 pounds? Neil, let's get a weight on you. What are your numbers?
Geez. I'm sure my mom has texted me at some point. Hold on. Why? What were you?
For sure. She's like, you did this to me.
I meant your kids, not your weight. I have no idea. Yeah. I meant, yeah.
I don't know. I gotta look it up. I'm the world's greatest dad. I'm not a mathematician, Ollie. Get out of here. They
It's
weren't
so
like that. But also, my wife had two C-sections. So, not that that's
got it.
nothing. Hey, Jack, one time we were with friends, and we were all talking about, have you guys had surgery? I've never had surgery, unless you count getting your wisdom teeth out, which I don't think you should. I don't think it counts. One of our friends, my wife's college friends, said, well, just my cesarean. And I said, do you consider that surgery? Don't say that. Don't say that. That is not. Anyway, my wife's had two of those,
No?
among other surgeries too. But yeah, so what was their weight? I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a
Like
surgery
normal.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So you were discounting it, Neil.
Yeah, well, and this is kind of what we talk about here is how to be a
Yeah,
better
that's a problem.
dad, human. I am under construction, and I learn.
Gotcha.
I put my foot in my mouth from time to time. And I'm not too proud. I'm not going to double down, Jack, on anything I've said ever. And so with that, let's talk about. So all right, let's go back. Take us back a little bit because we've got kind of the bird's eye view. But I want to know, like, take us to the moment you were about to have your first child, and you had kind of lived this um, exciting life, traveling. I'm imagining like debaucherous, the restaurant hospitality life. Perhaps you were imbibing, eating great food, hanging out with great people, and then you're like, oh no, now I'm gonna have to like stay up, not sleep and change diapers and raise a human, and then do it again. Like, what was the moment like? How did you feel? How did you adapt to it? And yeah, take us through all that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a lot. Yeah, starting before that, before we were having kids, we got settled. We did 2 years backpacking. So I think first of all, it's, you know, making sure that your partner is obviously the right one, and the right one forever and ever, right? Like, you have kids, like, it's a lifetime commitment. I don't think it's happened in life, but my wife and I backpacked around the world for 2 years together, never really knowing our next stop. I'd be like, hey, flight tickets for both of us to whatever destination, and I'll do some guest chef dinners, and I'll do some guest chef dinners, and give us a per diem, and we're good, right? So like, we very rarely knew where we were going to next, and that was pretty awesome. Like, it was like 10 countries or something that I worked in during that time. It was pretty great. So I knew she was the one first forever. We'd already married at that point. Obviously, I knew that before, but that really solidifies it, right? So knowing that's your partner in life forever. And then we decided to, obviously to start trying to have kids, and then Avery came along. I think that, what set us up, I think, for success as well was you obviously change things that you do when you have kids, but we didn't let having kids change us, right? Like, you're going to change things you do, but you don't want to have it change you for who you fundamentally are, right? Because I don't think you can get away from who you fundamentally are. Like, my wife and I still like to hang out on weekends. We still like to stay up late, Does that fully change, like, everything we do? No, we're not staying up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and, out in, Bangkok on the streets there, right? But, like, you're not going to, fully change every single thing that you do. I got caught up there, so I'm going to have to, like, cut that out, or however these podcasts go.
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we leave it raw because people like to know, they like the honesty, the authenticity of the freewheeling conversation. And I'll tell you, in this era of AI, it's actually an asset to be human, to be fallible. So to be the world's greatest dad and to be the world's greatest dad, greatest guest, you lose your train of thought. Do whatever, man. Yoss Queen. It's all you got this.
So yeah, I mean, it's fundamentally like we're to change things we do. We're obviously like having a child. We obviously change some things you do, but we didn't let it like fully change everything we do. Like, we lived in Bali. It's obviously a little bit different than here. So she was born in Bangkok. We moved to Bali. In a lot of ways, it was a pretty amazing time for my wife and for me being a father, and the way that we grew up. So how that worked was, being an expat, we had our own private villa on the property. So we had our own private villa in the grounds of the W Hotel, with our own private pool and access to all the restaurants and laundry and everything for free for my wife and us. So there was no charge. Like, you went around the compound. So it was pretty awesome for Avery too. Like, she had 500 employees that were her aunties and uncles that absolutely loved her and would take her around, and it's right on the beach, and it was a pretty stunning time, just going to the restaurants, eating whatever she wanted. It was great.
It sounds like a little like Eloise at the Plaza vibes, but like Bali edition.
I have not seen that, so I can't say.
Yeah, same. It's a book. Actually, I think they're turning it into a movie. But no, it's like this
It's
little
a
girl who lives
reference
at the
in The
Plaza Hotel.
Sopranos. I've seen the reference in The Sopranos. You know, I was kind of curious because it sounds like you had a pretty nice experience with your kids at a young age, but at the same time, I'm assuming you didn't have grandparents or other family near. Was that hard? Was it challenging? I mean, you're granted, it sounds lovely, but you are you're far away from home. Was that a challenge?
For me, honestly, for me, no. I had a different type of upbringing. I moved out of my house when I was 15 years old. On my own, got a GED, moved out of my house when I was 15 years old, and never moved back. Didn't have parents for much of my life. I'm not going to get too much into that. Every single thing that I do for my kids and with my kids is to be better than what I had growing up. That's literally my motivation in life, is to give them every single thing that I had growing up. When I look at it right now, my daughter being 13 years old, I was already younger than her when I was cooking full meals for my brother and sister. And 2 years from now, a year and a half actually from this point, now a year and a few months, I was already living on my own, paying my rent. And a couple years after that, I'm moving to San Francisco to cook. Different, right? Like for me, it's about providing every single thing that I didn't have, and more love for my kids, and so they don't want, but also trying to teach them independence right now while still keeping them close. I think it's harder and harder, especially right now, social media, everything that's going on in the world. It gets a little bit, more difficult. But I mean, those are my goals.
That's, first of all, no matter what, those are amazing goals. But given kind of your upbringing, even more impressive. Was there, like, did you have mentors or father figures, or how do you come out like this, without a model, or how did you kind of come to that decision to say, like, I'm going to be the best father I can be, and kind of fill the voids maybe I didn't have myself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's your partner, right? We went back to like partner. It's choosing that, having that right partner. Megan's my life partner in every single thing that I do. And has been for, Jesus, like 20, almost 20 years now. 18 years now. She's been my partner. So, again, it's that. And, if you have your right person next to you, you can do anything. So I think that, I definitely changed a lot when I met her, settled me down a little bit, and, so found a little bit more place. And I mean, from meeting her, life's been awesome, right? I traveled around the world, worked in 15 countries since then. She lived in Bangkok by herself pregnant at 9 months with Avery while I was living in Bali. Like, there's so many stories on that, like how amazing that she is as a mom, what she does. So I think it's like no mentor necessarily along the way. I'd say that any mentors were in the kitchens. I found kitchens at an early age, and I never stepped out of them, right? Like, I found home in kitchens. I found solace in kitchens. I found food in kitchens, right? Like, I learned how to cook so I could feed myself, feed my brother and sister when I was younger. And free food and getting paid seemed like a pretty good deal at the time, right? And it's stayed that way over the years. I've never looked anywhere else. And I had a great restaurant that I was at in San Francisco for about 8 years, where I came up from being a young pantry cook to becoming the youngest chef de cuisine in the city at that point. I was 25 years old when I became the chef de cuisine of that restaurant. And then from there, just kept growing, and Megan kept pushing me to do more, follow the dreams. And one of our dreams was having kids, and it didn't matter where we were at that point. We had them. Like I said, like Bali and Bangkok. So I think probably the biggest mentor that I always have is your partner, right? Like, that should be your biggest person.
How do you guys divide up the parenting given your work schedule?
We were pretty good at that early on. I would say that started from when Avery and Gavin were born, right? They were, pumped, milk fed, right, for like both kids. So, and which I really appreciated because I was able to feed them as well. So, I would work a little bit later. Megan would do, the 10 o'clock, bottle feeding. She'd like go to bed. I would do, or, the 9 o'clock, whatever. She would like go to bed. I'd get off a little bit later. I would do like the midnight bottle feeding, burping, that whole thing. then I would go to bed. She'd still be asleep, and then like the 3 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of times we had to set alarms for our kids to like wake them up. So honestly, they're pretty amazing. We'd have to set alarms to like wake them up. Like, okay, 3 o'clock, or sometimes like sleep through. But then she would do that middle of the night one. So she was being able to sleep like 9 or 10 o'clock at night until 3 o'clock in the morning. And then, we'd trade off on that. Then she would do that one, and then I would do. So we had a schedule to where one of them was doing the other. She wasn't having to get up every 3 hours to change a diaper and to do the feeding by herself. Like it was a very clear timeline on who did which one, which was great, and it worked out for us. I think it's important to be able to bond with your child by doing that as well. Feeding them and changing them, right? There's a bonding there, and it's not putting the sole responsibility on the mom.
You're a few years removed from those times. Neil, you're closer to it. When you bring up feeding times, I'll just say it. My wife will refer to the first 2 years of having a kid as, oh, that's the dark time I don't like to think about. But the way you described it, Jack, was you were so orderly. You're like, this is what we're doing. Almost like you're in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is this station, this is that station. Did it shake you? Do you have any fears? How do you feel when you look back at that era?
Oh, that era was amazing. There was the first 5 years of Avery's life. Like, again, we were living in, a 2-bedroom villa with a private pool in the W Hotel where guests are paying like $2,000 a night to stay in and getting room service, and they're eating in the restaurants for free, and I'm in the kitchens, and they knew where to find me in the kitchens. They would go push through the doors, and it's a 6-restaurant property, but they knew like where to go and find me. They'd be in the back of the house, like crossing through different wings of the hotel, and it was just very safe. It felt very safe there. That was literally the W Hotel was their house. The multiple restaurants were their kitchens. The people there were their family. So going back to your question, like, I didn't have the resources to miss by being overseas and not having them. But what I gained was hundreds of family members. And they were like my family. The Balinese, just Indonesians, they weren't all Balinese. The Indonesians, I still text a lot of them to this day. I still send pictures of the kids to this day to quite a few of them. I learned a lot about, being over there as well, and what family means as well, because family's everything over there. And they treated us, Megan and I, like their family, and living in the hotel because we were always around them. And then it's the same with our kids. I looked very, very, very fondly at that time, and it created a pretty great bond because I got to work and live together. I'd be working breakfast or whatever. They would come in and have breakfast, and I would go out and see them and sit with them for a minute and go back. I'd pop back after lunch and go for a swim with them before dinner service, right? So the balance back then was like pretty amazing. We've been able to, as much as possible, keep that going throughout our years, no matter whether I'm traveling for work and opening restaurants or, we're just in town, just making sure that we're, supporting each other. It's more me being present when I'm around, right? When I'm in town. I think that's important. You have to be conscious to be present when you're in town. It's easy to say, oh, I'm busy, I worked a lot, I'm going to sit on the couch, do nothing, or, not engaged. Like, be present, be engaged when you're home. Or else you might as well be somewhere else, because it's actually worse if you're not.
Let's talk about food a little bit, and food and kids, because your kids are, at that age, hopefully, where they're starting to appreciate different types of cuisine. Obviously, they both lived abroad. I imagine they have Are you kidding? We hear this from chefs, and I'm just waiting for the day where they're like, my kids are like food critics. So what are we, we chicken tendering around the world? What's going on with the Yoss kids?
Pretty much. Gavin can eat chicken tenders and fries most meals. Avery's more of a Japanese diet. She has a thermos of steamed rice and soy sauce for her lunch almost every single day, so she just eats steamed rice and soy sauce. And for dinner, she could eat sushi, steamed rice, and ramen, just like a plain ramen or miso soup every single day, poke bowl, anything around that. She's got a very Japanese type diet without even knowing it. So much processed food and stuff. My son could have a dartboard with all the different fast foods on it, throw one at it, and choose it and be happy, for dinner that day. It is what it is. He was eating a lot more in Bali. I was like, they're fast food restaurants. We didn't go to them. They just ate in restaurants. He was eating asparagus and salmon and smoked salmon, broccoli, and all these things. And right now he's like, no, I wasn't. I was not. They're absolutely not. There's no way that I was eating those things. I'm like, yeah, you used to. But
Has he kept up with the growth chart? Has the 11-pound baby kept up the monstrous growth?
He's lean. He's got a six-pack, actually. Like, it's crazy when you see, like, a 9-year-old with, like, a literal six-pack. You're like, what is going on? He plays basketball. He's super active. You know, he's more kind of like a 90s kids, you know, outside of when it's 100-degree heat. You know, he goes off. We live on a green belt, and he's, like, outside playing basketball, riding bikes, in the forest, in the green belt. We call it the forest. You know, until dinner. And then, you know, he's inside, so... Yeah, he's super active, real strong. But I mean, he ate his first 2 pieces of salmon nigiri the other night at Uchiko. I was really proud of him. I was shocked, actually. He said he wanted to try them. You know, the orange one. He said, I want to try the orange one. And he ate his first 2 at 10 years old, pieces of salmon nigiri, and crushed them both, which was amazing.
Do your kids, like, do they know where you work? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
like, and I mean, this is whatever, something Neil, you know, he may not understand, but like I know for my kid, he already has an awareness, and part of it is because of the school he goes to, that he'll be like, oh yeah, that's Uchiko. Like it's like a Rolex. It's a Rolex of a restaurant. It has brand cachet. So your kids are aware that my dad works at, you know, this one of the most prestigious restaurants in Austin that's now expanded in multiple states.
They're very proud of it. They are very aware. They're very proud of it. They might not. I mean, Avery eats basically avocados and hot rock and miso when she's there, and rice. Gavin eats hot rock and now salmon. So outside of what they generally eat, they're very proud of the restaurants and have visited quite a few of them. And they've been to the ones in Miami and Houston, and Houston, Dallas, Austin, Miami, Denver. I think that's the locations they've been to. Yeah, they're very proud of the restaurants, and they know they're good ones. They're not like bragging about it at school or anything, and I wouldn't want them to do so.
Do their friends at school know? Because it's something that, like, I know I've experienced with my son when he'll be like, oh yeah, that's Uchiko. And I was like, yeah, it's good. Maybe we'll go for happy hour. It's a real up there experience. Yeah, I know. Well, then we could always pull. You'd be surprised though. He has no shame. Like one time we were at a place for like a dinner. We were at Cured in San Antonio, and like it was set up through Visit San Antonio. And I'm pretty mindful that, you know, you have these experiences and you don't want to go. I'm not gonna order like a jerk. But my son's just like, yeah, let's get that steak. And I'm like, oh geez, okay. I guess we're gonna go that route too. So I'll have to give him a prep. I'm gonna give him a prep talk before we go to Uchi.
Yeah, no, I mean they're. I would say the biggest impact on it. Friends, probably not so much. I mean, they're not talking about with their friends like where their dad works, nor do I expect them to. Like it'd be weird. Yeah, you should have other things to talk about. But they're teachers. So like they're teachers. We get gift cards for their teachers, and my business card on there to set them up. For when they come in, right? Teachers don't make enough money. They literally watch your kids like 40 hours a week. In many cases, they're with your kids more than you are. So it's unfortunate, like where they wind up on the financial scale. But we try and always take care of their teachers and get them reservations in the restaurants and really make sure they're taken care of, or bring them food and whatnot. So I'd say like through the school kind of teachers things, whether we're bringing Laura over for an event for the teachers, or you know, getting them to come in and, you know, get really styled out at the restaurants. I don't know if it reflects in their grades. Our kids generally get pretty good grades, but it doesn't hurt. I'll tell you that. It doesn't hurt.
That's amazing. So have they all taken you up on it, or is there pretty much you've seen a lot of the your teachers come through and they usually have a good time?
Yeah, it's usually through my wife. Like we'll send them gift cards and a note and a thank you note and my card with a little handwritten letter like, please text either Megan or myself when you want to come in. Yeah, they've all taken us up. And even one, you know, who we saw, an old teacher was in one night when we saw, it was after the pandemic. So I think we started after this. And I never met this teacher. And Avery came in and this lady got up and gave my daughter a hug. And I'm like, what's going on here? At Uchiko, it was during happy hour. We sat down. I was like, that's my teacher. That was my last year's teacher. Like during maybe the year after the pandemic. And we bought their dinner, so I just got their dinner on my bill, and just, yeah, very, very, very grateful and very happy. So we try and do as much as we can there. Donate to the schools, donate gift cards.
It's a nice flex. So that's a nice, you know, ace to have in your pocket, sleeve.
It's not something outside of what we do as well. I mean, there's no shortage of donations and events in this, food events and stuff in this city. So.
Well, I love how, you know, obviously you're very community minded. You know, we kind of spoke to it a little bit earlier, but we're for all of us, dads, parents, adults in the room, literally and metaphorically speaking, like it's a weird time. Maybe it's always a weird time in the world. It's certainly a weird time in America. How do you, kind of talk to your kids about, you know, community and safety and uncertainty in a world that is, probably one of the most uncertain times I've experienced in my lifetime.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're just kind of starting getting more into that now as well, right? I mean, we have an open community conversation at the dinner table, bring up whatever. There was some things in my daughter's school last year. I mean, there was a stabbing in her classroom where a kid stabbed another kid in her classroom and then threw a smoke grenade out and escaped. It was like paramilitary type stuff, which was very, very scary, to be honest. Like, is getting that phone call from your child, right? That's like frantic, and you can hear the pain and terror in the voice. So that happened. There's definitely been a lot of conversations since then. A lot of the conversations are about online, right? Like, don't use your, full name on there, and whatever games that they're playing, and never put where you live, and never give out your phone number, and never answer the phone on a number that you don't know. Report and block it. Any spam, report and block it. I think it's like the digital age too, right? Which is new for us. 20 is when I first got my cell phone. So a lot of it's just around the digital age and being safe there. And they're like, yes, Dad, we know. Yes, Mom, we know. Like, we're not going to do that. We're like, who are you talking to? Who's your friends online? Who are these people you're talking about?
I have lots of follow-up questions. As in, Ollie's son just got a smartphone very recently for the first time. I am far away from that, but but I'm sure I'll blink and they're already asking me for iPads, Apple Watches. My daughter's 7, my son's 5.
How old are they, Neil?
My daughter's 7, second grade, and my son is 5 in kindergarten. And, we've watched like kids go off to middle school and get phones. It is funny. Sometimes we be at the playground and I will want to like text my kids. I'll be like, oh, let me just text Cece where she is. Or like, I don't have to circle the entire park to find her. And because it is so omnipresent in our life, and it isn't how we grew up, right? Like, I don't know. I think I'm probably a little bit younger than you, Jack. I'm 40. So
I turned 50 in a week.
Okay. All right. You're closer to Ollie's age. But so, I'm an elder millennial, and we had like the home computer. Like when you could be home and be online if you were downstairs on the home computer. But if you were out, you were out, You'd have to go find a payphone or, like some adult who had a cell phone. And so and I'm not like one of those people who's like, better time. It was just different. It was different.
Oh, I thought that's what you were saying. That's how you are now. I was like, wow.
Oh God, no, I'm addicted. I'm addicted to the dopamine, man. It's I wish there was like a Nicorette for cell phone pings. But no, I guess so here's what I want to know, because I don't know, like your kids, they kind of give you the eye roll, you said, where they're like, we know. How do they know? Where are they learning about online safety? Is it something they teach in schools? Is it something you just kind of pick up from friends? I remember being a kid, and like it was the threats, I guess, were in chat rooms or instant messenger or it was more web 1.0, I guess, and so like it's not that there weren't digital predators and stuff. I think it was maybe harder, is it just that there's more platforms to reach kids? Like, what is the process? Have you and your wife like read books? Do you talk to other parents about like, hey, here are the parental controls? What are kind of like best practices? Because it does feel like really overwhelming in a way that like I don't think it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Well, the way you put it there, Neil, makes me think that we don't do a great job at it. We don't really talk to other parents about it. We don't read books on it. It's not researched in any way. Maybe we're not doing the best at it, but we do talk about it. We talk about it all the time. And they're just open with us. They're super open with us and talk about stuff. And, we ask questions and, go in there and look at what they're doing.
So do you have access?
Like really
do you have their passwords and stuff? Like, let's get down to brass tacks. Do you have to log in? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. Like my daughter, She wanted a YouTube channel. Wanted one. We finally got her one. I'm like, go ahead. She posts some videos and stuff like that. We're like, don't show your face. Don't do this. Most part doesn't. She uploaded something. She was like all into it, getting followers. That she put something on, like a remix of like, don't you wish you had... My daughter's into the 90s. She wishes she could be a 90s kid. So it was like, don't you wish you had this during the holidays? And it was like all 90s things. And she got like 1.2 million views or something. Like ridiculous. Like crazy. Like I was out of town. I came back and they were like, she uploaded this video. Guess how many views? And I'm like 1,000, 2,000. They're like 300,000. I'm like, wait, what? That's insane, you know? And since then, she's like, I'm retired from my YouTube, like, you know, and like maybe post things here and there, but it's like, she was like super excited about it. I've got that. She's like, I'm done. You know, she's got, you know, other stuff, but she's like looking at dogs and, you know, we know what she's looking at. She's sharing what she's looking at. And we're connected to her and she's connected to us. You know, I think there's a trust there that we have on it as well. And I think we've just talked about it so often. I think in our day and age too, there was still a lot of predators and everything else as well. You just didn't hear about it. I mean, the social media was the milk carton. That was social media. The picture on a milk carton of a missing child, right? Like, that's how they got the word out on things, you know? So, I don't know if, like, you know, per capita, per kid, whatever those metrics look like, how much more danger is out there. We hear about it a heck of a lot more than we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
Right? So
well, it's funny, though.
We talk about it.
I mean, it's funny because you're saying that, like, oh, you know, we don't read books, haven't researched it, but it sounds like you're kind of doing the only thing that matters, which is just talking to your kids and kind of getting their trust. Because I think it's funny. It's like all these platforms, there's thousands of them that could be dangerous in some way. And it almost like doesn't matter which one they're on if they're not talking to you about it, right? Because it's like, danger can happen anywhere, anytime. I think the bigger fear maybe is that your kid is doing something in secret or in isolation and doesn't feel like they can talk to you, or, you know, I think that's where you can be kind of vulnerable to just people messing with you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's, if your kids are talking to you, then you're good. Like, you know, Avery tells her mom everything. Like, she tells everything. She's just like, just an open person. You know, they go on walks every night with our dogs. You know, so play basketball with my son, still hang out with her, right? So, like, we're still hanging out with each other and very open. We're not at that stage yet. We're not at that stage where they're hiding stuff from us. There's a little bit of background feedback. Does it sound okay?
A little feedback. It's a little feedbacky.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, because your daughter's in 8th grade, do you feel like, and you're going to have to answer this, but I know that my son's in 8th grade. We are certainly in the years where if I mention that age and that grade to other parents, I've had some parents say, good luck, you're about to enter the dark time. Do you feel like you're entering that era yet? Or do you feel like maybe your daughter is built different?
Time will tell, Ollie, for sure on that. I do not feel I'm entering that time. I have colleagues that have kids, you know, same age, year older, and they're like, our whole goal in the day is to not piss off the girls. Like, it's literally our goal is to not say the wrong thing and just exist together. Oh, I'm like, that's not it. And I will show like texts that my daughter gives me when I'm out of town, you know. I do hear the same things about built different. I don't know. I mean, it comes out in different forms. Puberty goes at different times, right? So I don't really know, you know, what next year brings, but as of right now, there's very little to none of that I would say that's just outside of normal coming of age, you know, knowing more than you do already.
How did you build this culture?
So, good.
How did you build this culture in your home that is so open and accepting that, like, your kids actually enjoy hanging out with you? Because I do think this is more rare than you're giving yourself and your wife credit for, that your kids are so open and loving with you. And, like, how did you do this? How did you create this home environment?
I mean, they're pains in the asses too, Neil, so don't paint this the wrong way. Like, it's not all sunshines and rainbows, but no, I mean, I think they're good. I don't know. I don't say that it was like strategic or anything, or there was like a master plan on it. I mean, some of it might literally be like, you know, them growing up in a space where Avery's first 5 years, it was just us. Like, we lived in a There's like 200 hotel rooms and 100 villas. One of the villas was ours. And like you said, we lived together. They lived where my work was, so we were always together. I've made it a point too to like balance work with the kids as well. Like a lot of summers and whatnot, they'll travel with me when I go to cities, right? So when I go to Houston or Dallas or Denver, like we'll bring them along, or we'll drive to Denver, if I got to work up there, or opening a restaurant, or I do a lot of pop-ups and stuff where, we get to stay in amazing places, like truly amazing places, luxury 5-star hotels, and they get to stay and come there and vacation there while, I'm doing a pop-up or I'm working. So for us, it's been trying to like, integrate that as much as possible. I don't know if that really answers your question. Like, again, it wasn't really like set out. It was, I think some of it has to do with the upbringing, when they're formative, those really young years. And then, for me, I learned a big lesson during the pandemic. I would say that I kind of changed a little bit in there, come back 2017 into 18, working, open the restaurants, like, I would say it was my only focus. So it wasn't my only focus, but it was a big job, and coming into the job, and I'm gonna make sure I do a good job. Pandemic happened, and I realized that I was actually on vacation when the world shut down, my first vacation in 3 years. And I was like, I'm never gonna let that happen again. And then the pandemic happened, and I worked like 6 months straight, like almost every day, like just like, okay, we gotta, make sure that, and rightfully so. We saw jobs, we didn't lay anyone off, and we had to rebuild, and so we did through Loro. And I was like, slinging burgers at Loro, work at the grill every day. And I vowed coming out of that to not let that happen again, no matter how big my job got, how many restaurants were opening, how can I integrate, how can I make sure that I'm present around when I'm home, and how can I bring them along for the ride too. So they've been to a lot of openings, they've been to a lot of pop-ups, been able to go to Turks and Caicos, where I've worked there twice, and to a Michelin 3-key hotel in Canada. It was like $1,000 to stay there for 4 days, and I'm cooking there. So they're also very proud of like what I do, because they know what I do has afforded them things that we cannot afford. Like we're going and staying places that I can't afford, and I'm doing that for them too. And myself, I love it too. I love going to new countries. And they just we went to Bermuda and stayed in Bermuda for a week, and at a beautiful hotel, the Lauren Hotel there. And they got to go and stay there and be guests. And I worked a couple days, and I was also a guest. So
What's your airline points situation? I have to imagine you haven't paid for a flight in many years.
no, it's from Austin. Man, I wish there was just one that left from Austin. I have all I got the 5 apps, and I got like 20,000 miles on each one. I've gotten a few free flights here and there, but yeah, there was like, I wish there was one. Just the places that I fly and the places that I go, you can't stick to just one. I refuse to, as much as possible. I do not like taking layovers too, so I'm not loyal to any one for points. I will say Marriott though is, I lived in Starwood and then Marriott hotels for many years working for them, and now I get a lot of points through them. So I don't pay for hotel rooms, and we get the vacations for all the pop-ups that we do and stuff. So, but flights.
How often do you travel for work?
A lot, quite a bit.
And then, I mean, you can bring your kids along, but how would you, if you had to throw out a percentage, how often are you not at home? I mean, it seems like you're gone a lot.
Not gone enough for anyone watching this getting the ideas, because I have very big dogs, and they will attack you. So
I wasn't thinking about robbing your house. I was just thinking, like...
I'm not saying, the creepos out there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it changes, but, I'd say travel and do the math on it 25-30% of the time. It depends on the year.
And does your wife work too?
Easy.
Does your wife work as well? Or outside of the house, I should say? Okay, so that helps.
She does
that balance.
Everything around the house. Yeah, she does it all there. Which is great. I mean, that we're able to have that. And they come with me probably. I would say, like, as a family, we travel probably a month a year. So easily 4 weeks a year.
When your son is out with you to like Turks and Caicos and stuff, is he looking for a Turks and Caicos KFC? How does he eat? How does he solve his fast food habit?
Well, there's burgers, and no, he doesn't. Well, for clarity, he doesn't eat fast food 7 days a week. There's maybe 1 day a week where there's fast food involved, but those things are being prepared at home. Like we'll make chicken tenders at home, or he'll eat steak and chickens and pasta. I mean, so it's not just that. I was more saying like he could eat those things all the time. But no, he eats off the kids' menus, pasta, mac and cheese, pasta, chicken tenders, fries, burgers, fruit, eggs.
And he still has a six-pack.
That's it.
Man.
That's it.
Man.
He works on it. He's out, he's shooting hoops.
Speaking of working on it, Neil, you may not know this, but when I first met Jack, how much weight have you lost within a year? Because it's been significant.
Yeah, I've sent you the picture, right? It's a funny story. So, Ali came and did an Indonesian dinner with me. So he came and worked some prep with me at Uchiko. I was, paying tribute to the food that I love and the people I love. So I have a handful of items that I can make really well that they taught me that I don't deviate from and make them exactly how they taught me to give love and respect for their culture and their cuisine. So he came and prepped with me when I was making the pace. I was traveling a lot that summer, so I was like, make the paste, kind of froze those, got those ready, and it was a couple weeks later I had the dinner, because we drove to Denver, and we were doing a bunch of stuff in Denver, we all went up there together as a family, and then, we had this dinner, and, Ali was filming it and eating it, and, he was posting it about a month later. A month later, when he posted it, I had just gotten COVID. I was laying in bed in COVID. I was super out of it, on social media, whatever. Oh, he posted this, and I was looking at it, and I screenshotted and sent Ali the moment when I knew that I needed to lose weight. I kind of justified it. I gained weight, every year. We still weigh in kilos. You're still a few kilos up or a few kilos up. It's fine. You justify it. I gained a lot of weight coming back to the States, but there was that one moment, that picture, that I was like, damn, you got to do something about this. And I was 237, and like right now I'm like 178, so I've lost almost 59 pounds, between 55 to 60 pounds depending on the day, without pills or glutamates or Ozempics or not whatever, it's not glutamates but whatever they're called, without any of those three things.
Did you do it? How'd you do it?
I do minimum 30 miles a day on the Peloton. So I ride 30 miles a day on an exercise bike. My average for the year, I'm at like 32.8 miles a day. I'll hit 10,000 miles this year, which is a lot. I eat one meal a day, pretty much, and I eat healthy for the most part. I cheat on the weekends, but I'll have like a big salad with some protein and stuff for dinner. I think 30 miles a day, just sweating. And I cut alcohol back substantially. Which, the pandemic, I think everyone kind of, if you drank before the pandemic, you probably drank more after it. I know at least on my train that I did, and I curbed that and don't have any drinks during the week and just work out a lot and go to bed at 9:30, 10, like an old man, going to bed at the same time as my kids, getting up early, working out, eating one meal. So it's those things that really, really did it. But yeah.
I have follow-ups.
60 pounds, so.
One meal a day? What time are you eating?
7 o'clock. And I'll have a couple snacks during the day, like a little.
I mean, I would be. It's all I would be thinking about all day. I'd be like, oh man, I don't know, when it gets just 5 more hours till I get to eat. Like, I can't even imagine. How do you do that?
You get used to it. I think you get used to it. I mean, I think intermittent fasting is a thing, right? With people, I think it's a lot. Like intermittent fasting, don't eat for 16 hours, or I might have like a little snack here. And it's not that I'm like, oh, I'm not snacking. I'll have a bag of Cheetos here at the office, or whatever snacks are in there. I have no problem with that if I'm hungry, or granola bar or whatever, So it's not like I'm cutting it all out and I'm, not eating nothing processed or anything like that. I think it's just I don't eat to get full anymore. Before I had to be full every time I ate. And when you're eating to be full and to be constantly full, you're gonna end up getting fat. And I for sure did. I only told Ali about this. Ali showed some pictures of himself, younger before, and he's like, when you lost weight, right? You went through always something, years ago. And that's when I told him. I was like, hey, I did something similar. And he was like, hey, you want to talk about this on my podcast? I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not there. I'm not stable. I'm not talking about that. And then, and that was months ago. And then, we came to talk about this, which I'm at a place where it's stable now. I've been.
Okay. Cool.
I know what to do.
It is World's Greatest Dad related, because I'll say this: when I had done my big weight loss, and it was very accidental. I wasn't trying to lose weight. I was just trying to not get, I was pre-diabetic and I was trying to work on getting my A1C normal. And then, all of a sudden, like, within a few months, it was like, oh my God, like people look at you weird. They're like, are you sick or what's wrong? It's never just as simple as, some people would say you look great, but other people would be like, whoa, they're used to seeing you a certain way. And I remember I looked at it as just from the outside, the superficial. And it was my wife who said, what you've done is a gift to your family because you have added years to your life because we will all get old. And hopefully I'd like to think to a certain degree my kid will be around a little bit, when I'm physically a bit burdened by the years. Shoot, I'm feeling it all the time, to be honest. And I just think, that was one of the things going into this recording today. I was like, you realize what you've done is a gift for your kids. It's a gift for your kids. I really believe that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's true. I mean, I couldn't keep up with I can't keep up with him on the basketball court. He beats me every time. But, like, being winded out there and just, just basic things, right? I was like super out of shape. So wanted to be able to play with my kids. I wanted to live longer. Came to that period, saw where I was at. It took something else for me to see it because I didn't want to see it in the own mirror. So it took something else, and it did, and it worked, and like I'm happy as well. And I ignored, the blood test results as well. Like, I had to come through and they're like red, above normal, red, right? And I ignored those for a few years, and then I just got mine recently done, and like all of it's like in half. I don't have to take blood pressure medicine anymore. I don't snore anymore. Cholesterol, all those things are like gone.
That's incredible. Nice work, Jack.
I got to keep it up. It's only a year.
That's the hard part. I want to ask you about, for other dads out there because you found a way to kind of find a passion and career that you love, that's challenging, that's exciting, that you get a lot out of, it seems like, fulfillment-wise, and also be a present dad. What's advice for kind of like, what advice would you give to either new dads or dads who are kind of in the slog, who maybe feel like, I hate what I'm doing, but I have to do it to support my family? Like, any tips? I mean, you're lucky you found it really young, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's hard because I I found it so young. I don't think there's nothing else I could think to do for myself. There's literally nothing else I could think to do. I mean, I think everyone says the same advice, like be as present as much as possible with your kids. Like, it goes too quick. I mean, everyone say, oh, it goes so quick, right? Like, it goes so quick, and it truly does. Like, I think I'm going through like midlife dad crisis right now, basically. It's a fun time to be on the show. It's like going through midlife dad crisis. I got a 10-year-old, I got a 13-year-old, and I'm like, they're halfway like gone, basically. Or more than halfway, right? And you start seeing those memes, and it's, by this
That's why I
age,
started this thing. I swear to God.
Sucks.
Part of it is absolute therapy for when I hear someone like Neil. And actually, when I saw Neil texted his kid running, well, I didn't tell you, Neil. I showed it to my wife, Brearley, and we were all like melting because you're like, it's crazy. I'm feeling it. It's pain, but it's also so fortunate to even recognize how important that is. But yeah, the dad life crisis is real.
I think it's awful. We're giving away, we're not going to give away these books because these were the books that we read almost every night. When you it's like you start to have those things that, and I know this didn't answer your question about work because it's hard for me. Like, I've done one thing and I've focused on that and I've put my whole professional life into that. But, making sure that you're doing that with your kids as much as possible too, right? Like, don't forget that. So I try and leave work as much as possible. And just can't take it for granted. Like, one day it's like there's so many times now where it's like, the last time you did X, like the last time you laid in bed together and were surrounded all together and read a book, they read to you and you did a group hug. Like, that's gone, right? And then you start giving, you hold on to those books forever, and then you give them away. And there's like certain ones we're not giving away. And I brought them here to the office. Like, it's a, please take as many of these as you want, like old games and stuff like that. And there's still some over there. And I'm like, I can't take these to Goodwill myself. Like, I will break down crying. Just bringing them into the office, like, make me cry, I'm like, so, there comes a point in every single little thing that they do becomes the last time they did that. Try and remember it along the way. Because if you don't, it goes quicker than you think.
Well, all right, I want to ask you this. We often ask dads, this is a thinker, how do you want your kids to describe you when they're older? Maybe like a decade or two from now, they're meeting someone at college or work event and they're like, oh, my dad's like this. Or, growing up, my dad was always this way. Like, if you could pick, how do you want your kids to describe you years from now?
As a friend, just one word, I'd like that. They're always going to remember, like, tough but fair, any stuff like that, right? I could sit and say things, but I want them to think that they could trust me and that I was a friend to them. I think it's important to be both. You can be a dad and disciplinary and everything else and still be a friend. And I think if you try and focus on being one, then the other ones are actually easier. And they might listen to you more. Even though my kids don't listen all the time, though. But, yeah, I'd like to think that I was there for them.
Love it. Jack Yoss, are you ready to come through the dad lightning round with Ali Khan?
Okay, sure. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. It's a real lightning round. All right, Jack Yoss. Here we go. The dad lightning round. So, first one. Parenting motto in 6 words or less.
Parenting motto in 6 words or less. 6 words or less. Jesus, I have to do math here too? Like, this is not fair. Don't change who you are.
Yeah, it works. All right. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
It's the end of the past.
Ooh. Favorite late night snack?
That's changed over the
It
years.
has.
For sure, especially over the last year. But the one that I do now would be Cinnamon Toast Crunch and milk.
It is arguably a dessert and a breakfast. All-time favorite TV dad?
I don't watch a lot of TV, to be honest. I read more than I watch TV. As an adult, I don't really watch a whole lot of TV. I don't know. Homer Simpson, going Homer.
Never a wrong answer.
He's a TV
Never
dad.
a wrong answer. Favorite dish to cook for your kids?
They don't really like my food, Ollie. So, they don't really eat my food so much. What they do like and that they both will like is like steak frites. Yeah. I mean, it's literally like, it sounds fancy, but they're frozen french fries that we're doing in the air fryer with Parmesan on top and just a good steak. A good, prime Denver steak. They like Denver steak.
Sorry, this is too good not to know. Is there a brand of frozen french fries you recommend as a high caliber chef?
I mean, the air fryer changed a lot of things. How we cook, it's clean.
Yes,
it's neat. The Ore-Ida, I'm pretty sure they're Ore-Ida, the shoestring fries in the air fryer come out great.
I am freaking stealing everything you just said. That is amazing. Okay, very stoked about that. Dream vacation destination to share with your family. This is going to be a good answer. Let's just be honest.
We've done so many. Jesus. The place that I would say, because we've done so many, like Maldives is one. We want to go to Maldives at some point. But Turks and Caicos, that water there and that vacation was absolutely healing. It was not as expensive as I thought it would be to be out there. I mean, I was out there for work and stuff, but we added on days to ourselves. I always thought it was like a Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous type thing, probably because when I was a kid, it was like on that show. But water that you can see down as far, 100 feet, however long, and see everywhere around you, and it's completely flat and completely clear. I've never experienced something like that, and that was absolutely stunning.
Awesome. It's just one day. Favorite movie to watch with your kids?
Moana.
That's a new one. That's a newer one.
Moana.
Impressive. All right.
Yeah. They still watch a lot of cartoons even at their age. Moana's always been a great one. Or Zootopia. I'm a big fan of Zootopia too.
One thing you wish you knew before becoming a dad?
It's such a simple but hard question, actually. How quick it goes. I don't know. I always go back to that. As I go through to get into my midlife crisis.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a lesson.
I could have captured more things when they were little, right?
There you go. Yeah.
You take for granted things when they're little. I think my wife's a picture taker. I've got I've got forwards on my phone from her, and I take some, but she takes a lot. But to
document
everything.
Yeah.
Without documenting, right? Without living through a lens. But because there's a balance of that, right? You don't want to live through a lens, but there's things that I wish that I had that we did, but I guess memories are kind of the same thing.
Favorite method of transportation? You travel a bit. What's your favorite way to get there?
What are you talking? Transatlantic, around the block? Where it depends on where I'm going.
I mean, you're travel. Well, okay, I feel like the most interesting answer might have to do with going far. So yeah, hit me with it. We're taking a big trip.
My favorite mode of transportation is a motorbike in Thailand.
Yeah. You were built.
That was
You were
my
built for a
most
good answer.
free. That was my most free time. Like riding a motorbike. Living in Phuket and riding a motorbike to the hotel for work. And my wife had the car, obviously with kids, but that was the best by far. Like, there's something free about that.
Dad habit you're most proud of?
I'd say one of the most proud ones is I've always played with my kids and still play with my kids, meaning on their level.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife will say that too. She's like, you're the one that plays, right? Like building forts or like getting down on their level.
Yeah.
Things like that, right? I would say that's one that I've always been pretty good at and that they appreciate.
You're on a long ride with your kids. What is on the radio or Spotify, let's be honest?
I'm not in charge of that because they would not like they don't like my music, which tends to be, these heavy metal, death metal bands. So
okay.
That's not playing. And it's for that it would be the 10 spot, which is the 10s, which is weird. There's like the 80s, 90s, and then there's the 10s, which is just odd. But the 10 spot, which is the 2000s or the 10s, right? Which was my daughter's era, and they all like that and sing along. But it's funny how the generations go. So my daughter, who's a 10s, went as a 2000s kid for Halloween last Halloween as a 2000s, which could have been 90s Juicy Couture, like bands and stuff. And like she got stuff from Goodwill and like did her whole costume. And I'm like, how is that a thing? You're born in 2012. Like how is 2010 or 2000s is freaking costume? Like that's a thing now? We're going around the neighborhood and there was a house. There was mom outside with her kids. And her little babies. She's like, I know what you are. And it was like, what? And she's like, you're a 2000s kid. And Avery, like it blew Avery's mind that she got that. And I'm just like, we are old, Ollie. And you're nearing it, Neil. That 2000s and that,
I was going to say, there's a big difference between like...
a 2010s kid.
Yeah. Are we talking like 2000 or 2002? Because a lot happened between then.
I don't know, but it's the 2000s. I mean, a decade, right? Like, so it could be anywhere in that decade, but... I don't think from 1999 to 2000, right? I don't think that. For me, it's just like they're so different, but that's what they're talking about as kids.
Yeah.
We're talking about the 90s over here, back in our good old days, the 90s, and they're like, oh, back in the 2000s.
Yeah.
All he knows, I celebrated...
The old days.
I celebrated my 40th birthday at a 90s night with a 90s cover band. There were some 20-somethings that approached my friend, and they said, well, who are you supposed to be? And I realized, this is a costume party for them, and this is more of like an honoring ceremony for us. We were like kind of sing it differently.
Yeah. It's
funny.
Crazy.
Yeah. All right, keep it going, Ollie.
One book every dad should read.
I don't know if I have an answer to that one. Honestly,
I wouldn't either.
I honestly don't know.
I'm not a reader.
I read a lot, but I read like crime thrillers and stuff like that. I don't think I've read the cliff notes on what to expect when you're expecting and things like that. Like when I was years and years ago.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for that one.
All right, it's a passeroo.
I think if I don't know, you gotta like pave your own way too. You know what I mean? Like it's like sit and read a book and what you take bullet points on it and put it into your life. Like I don't know. I'm that way as a person. I'm that way as a person too. You gotta figure it out.
The answer, the book every dad should read should be a book that's not about parenting because that'll just come as it comes. I'm with that. That's my official answer for not reading anything. Last question of the Dad Lightning Round. Jack Yoss. Best part about being a dad?
Having kids. And everything that comes with them, good or bad. There's a lot that comes with them. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. Not every moment is the best moment of your life, but it all adds up to the whole, right? So, as long as everything adds up to the whole of who they are.
God. I feel like that was just the end of the Terrence Malick film Life. I'm with it. You know what I mean? It was deep. It was everything. It was encompassing. I just knocked the mic. But, heck yeah. Neil, what do we got to say?
I just have to say, Jack Yoss, you are the world's greatest dad. Thank you for being here. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Thanks, Ollie.
It was a real pleasure. Dude, I'm telling you, Neil, and I say this, fully as the person who can be like, I don't know if I need to really personally be making the decision to shell out the bucks for Uchi, but if Jack's cooking it, I know it's delicious. That meal you made was so freaking, it haunts me. I mean, just because it was truly equal parts the soul. I mean, I wish I was intimately aware of that cuisine. I'm just not. But I know some of those elements of flavors, and it had soul, and it had some really good ingredients. Holy crap, you weren't pulling any punches on any of it, which is pretty.
If I ever get a job teaching at Jack's kids' school, I'll see you there.
Yeah, seriously. Where do your
I'll be
kids
there
go
to
to
deliver
school?
the food.